going to make a headband using a stitch that Mikey from the Crochet Crowd, Mike Selleck, put on his channel. And I'll link it here, or I'll link it in the description box. I'm going to make a headband out of it. I'm using Lion Brand 24/7 cotton in the Jade shade. It's a 4 weight, 100% mercerized cotton. It recommends a 4mm hook. I'm going to use a 4.25mm hook because I'm a tight crocheter. I tend to really squeeze it, so. And this is makeup sponges over it to give it some cushion. Okay, go ahead and do a slip knot however you normally do one. And let's do 6 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, now we're going to go, don't count this first one because that's actually the knot, so don't count that. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you want to do it right there. The third one from the start or the fourth one from your hook, however you want to count it. And then make a double crochet into that. So you count back 4, you count forward 3. Okay, so there's the double crochet. Now you're going to do a double crochet again next to it in the next and then one more double crochet into the first chain. Remember, that's the knot of your slip knot. Okay, so we're going to do 6 more because we are at the far left end. 6 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now let's count back. 1, 2, 3, 4. And put in your double crochet. So we're making normal C2C blocks that are going to be on the edges, and in the middle will be the Turkish C2C that Mikey created. And I think it's great. Okay, so now that you've finished this block, you need to flip this one like a book and put the point down like the tail of a kite. So flip it, and then you want to go into the top loop here, not into any stitches, and just do a slip stitch, and that pulls this one up against the other block. Right, now we're in the middle, so we're going to do 3 chains, not 6. Okay, 3 chains, because we are not on the end here coming off into space. This is in the middle. So there's 3 chains. Now we do a double crochet into that same space that we did the slip knot before. Then we do 1 more double crochet into that space. Okay, and then here we do a double crochet over 2 loops. Make sure there's 2 loops here into the stitch on the side, right in that corner. Okay, and that's another Mike Selleck special, which I think is a great idea because it really keeps this flat instead of pinching into a point. It really keeps this looking more like a block than a wedge. So now we're on the edge, and we're going off into space, so we need to do 6 chains. One, two, three, 4. We're making another block, which is just a regular C2C block of double crochets. So you make that big loop of chains and then you go back on itself with 3 double crochets, one after the other. Okay, and now we're ready to spin it like a book. Flip that page, bring the tail down, okay, and then go into the top loop, not into any stitch, just into the loop, and do 3 chains. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so the edges are regular blocks of double crochets for the C2C block. Here's where we're going to do the Turkish stitch. So yarn over, go into the loop, and where you normally would just go up and yarn over, you have to go through this loop over here that separates these 2 blocks. Okay, then you bring the yarn over, pull it up, and finish that double crochet. So it's going into the place where you normally would be going, but it's coming out over here. And watch this live yarn. You have to make sure that it lays next to your previous stitch. Okay? Because if it doesn't, it can get really messy. You're going to do 3 of these into that hole and out that hole, and watch where your yarn lays. So you want to kind of lay it down next to it and pull it through that way. And pretty soon you'll get the hang of how to watch all these different factors. So now we're going into the space at the top of this block and do a slip stitch. Do 3 chains, and then we'll do double crochets into that space, 2 of them, and then 1 on the side here, into the stitch. Okay, now we're on the end, so we're going to do 6 chain stitches. Let's count back. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now Mikey has a trick for this 6 stitch, whereas he pinches the 3rd stitch and then does 3 more chain stitches. I tried pinching the 2nd one so that the next one would be available to just crochet into, and it always slips out of my hands, so I don't bother trying to pinch it. Now turn your work. The kite tail is down. You go over to this gap at the top and do a slip stitch, and that pulls your block up next to it. Now we're going to do 3 chains because we're in the middle, and now we're going to yarn over and go into that gap again and come out the gap over here. Now it's really easy to get these gaps mixed up. Don't put it here, because coming down here is the wrong way to do it. You have to go up and above this previous stitch, not into the side. And then just finish your double crochets going into the gaps and coming out the correct gap. Here's the third one. Okay, you finished that three double crochet, and then you're going to do a slip stitch into the gap next to it. You do 3 chains, and then yarn over, go into this gap and out that gap. Not this one right here. Don't use this one. That's the side. You want the top. And just in case you're wondering, I'm using a steel boy hook. So it has a more rounded top to the hook and a deeper throat. I think it works really well with mercerized cotton. Alright, 3 stitches here, because even though you're on the last block, you're still on the inside edge, not the outside edge. So 3 chains. Then we do 2 double crochets in the space. And then we do 1 double crochet into the stitch right here at this corner. And you just gotta find it. There we go. Try to have the 2 loops over your hook. 2 loops make it sturdier. Helps it it doesn't pull the stitch apart. So this is what I was doing. I was pinching on the second one, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, and then going into this one, which is the 4th from your hook. And then you got your double crochets to finish the block. You turn your work like a book up into that loop, to a slip stitch, and then 1, 2, 3 chains. And now you're doing your Turkish stitch, because it is on the inside of the work. It's not on an edge. The Turkish stitches go on the edge. The regular double crochet C2C blocks go on the outside edge. Turkish on the inside, regular on the outside. You see how easy it could be if you weren't paying attention. You could end up coming out that side, the side hole right here. It's a big old gap, but you want to go to the top one above it. Now that you've finished it, you go to the next top gap and do a slip stitch and 3 chains. Same way of avoid the side gap, and put in your 3 double crochets to make your Turkish stitch, your Turkish block, your Turkish cluster. Okay, 3 chains, we're on the edge stitch, so we just do regular block. 2 double crochets into the space. I'm going to pull these 2 down a little bit. Okay. Into the side there, that corner. Okay, that's finished. Now we're going to do, I think this is probably wide enough. Here, I think this is wide enough. So I'm going to actually start coming back. So what that entails is you flip your work and you do slip stitches. Just go straight into the same one that you just stitched in, and then just keep going into the tops of each of these and do a slip stitch until you get to your end, which is 4 slip stitches if you do it right in the same one that you just came out of. 1, 2, and this is the 3rd one right here. This one's a little more difficult because it's a corner. There we go. And just slip stitch that right there. And now you turn your work as if you are in the middle. I know it sounds weird because you're on the right edge, but you're just going to do a block. And it's going to be a regular block because it's an edge block. So you're not going to do a Turkish block here. This is the rectangle shape, and you just put 3 double crochets in here into the space. You don't have a place to put it over here. Okay, so then slip stitch into the top and do your 3 chains because you're not on the far right side. But now you're going to do your Turkish stitches. Okay, doing your Turkish stitch. And one more for that cluster. And then the slip stitch to bring them together. 3 chains, give it a handle, and then you're making your little bow ties. That's what the Turkish stitch kind of looks like. It's like little 3D bow ties. This side tends to curl a little bit, so make sure you're getting the very last gap space. Slip stitch, 3 chains, 2 double crochets into that space, Give yourself some room on that corner. Okay, so now this is the rectangle. It's going to continue to push this way. So you start another one. Right here on the fourth. Turn your work. Start doing your Turkish stitch. Okay, so this is a regular block because this is now on the edge of the rectangle. We don't keep making Turkish blocks here. Okay, so go into this gap and do 3 double crochets, one after the other, in the gap. Okay, go ahead. Now you can just go around into this, or you can go actually into the top of that stitch. It's up to you, because you're going to slip stitch, turn your work, and make slip stitches to the edge. 1, 2, 3, and here's the 4th one. Not both. So you can turn your hook another way and try to get through those. There we go. 2 bars. All right, now 3 stitches, 3 chains, and we'll do 3 double crochets, one after the other in this space, because this is an edge now. So this is your edge, flat edge, outside edge. Now you can start your Turkish stitches here, here, and here, and then you make an extra block going off of this one. So you keep lengthening it from this side, and you just stop here. So this becomes a rectangle. Okay. These edges are just flat double crochet blocks. The inside squares are the Turkish stitches. Okay. I will meet you back when I make this long enough to go from ear to ear over my head. So this is the long edge. See how it's step, step, step. This is the long edge, and it fits from the top of my ear over my head to the top of my other ear. This is the last row that I want to do. So instead of doing a Turkish stitch here, I'm going to do a regular block. And that's just 3 double crochets into the space, instead of doing that in one corner and out the other corner, the sideways. Okay, so let me go into the space and do a slip stitch, turn our work, and do slip stitches. Okay, and this is going to be turning the corner like we did over here. So we do another flat block, which is 3 chains, double crochet into the space, and we do 3 double crochets into the space. This is 1, that's 2, that's 3, that's the last one. Okay, then we're going to do a Turkish stitch here. So do 3 chains, and we do a double crochet going in and out through these 2 spaces. We do 3 double crochets, okay, go into that top space, do 3 chains, and then we do 3 double crochets into that space along the top here. It's a flat edge cluster, not the Turkish cluster. Go to the top, do a slip stitch, turn our work, and then we slip stitch along the top until we get to the end. Okay, there's the last one. 1, 2, 3. We're doing a flat edge regular block, regular flat cluster, so it's 3 double crochets around this space right here. Okay, now I'm going to slip stitch into the top of the stitch next to it, and we are now only doing an edge block here and an edge block here. So let me show you. 1, 2, 3 chains. We do 3 double crochets into the top of this space. Okay, we do a slip stitch into the top of that space, turn our work, slip stitch along the edge till we get to the end. Okay. 3 chains, 3 double crochets into this space, slip stitch into the top. Okay. And we can slip stitch to the end. And the sample is complete. If that's all you wanted to do was just practice the Turkish stitch, you've done it. Okay, but we're going to continue by 1, 2, 3. Okay, turning our work and going into the same space. And doing a slip stitch right here. Okay, and then we do 1, 2, 3. Okay. Do a single crochet and 3 chains. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now you can go in between here. Just go right in between and do a single crochet. Three chains. 1, 2, 3. And just go down in between the two. It's a lot easier than trying to find 2 loops to put it over. Just as you saw, it's very difficult. 1, 2, 3. And it's just a single crochet to anchor those 3 loops. 1, 2, 3. Okay, there's a block. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we're going to go into the corner here, try to get under, do a single crochet, 1, 2, 3 chains, just go right back into it. I'm just making a loop here, and it's a slip stitch at the bottom there. Just making a loop, that's all. Let's do 3 chains. Put it on the corner, single crochet, 1, 2, 3. Three chains again, and back to the other side. And just do that all the way to the end, and I'll meet you back. So I've come around to the last space. I just did a slip stitch. I'll go into the 3 chains, just do a slip stitch like that, and let's do 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, and let's do a double crochet back into the space of the 3 chains. Okay. Let's do a space. And it's just like a granny square. You put the three legs in there, and you put in a space, and you put 3 more legs in there. And these are double crochets, little granny clusters. Last one. I just put a space between them. Just one chain like that. So it's 3 chains, double crochet, chain space, and then 3 more double crochets. Okay, so then we have little double crochet, little spaces to put double crochets in. We're going to do 3 double crochets in each of these loop spaces. These were the 3 chain spaces that we made all the way around. And we're not going to put any spaces between them. No chain spaces, just 3 double crochets and then right into the next space. And just keep putting 3 double crochets into each one. Into each of these loops. And when you get to the corner, you put 3 double crochets, 1 space, and then that's a chain space, and then 3 double crochets, all in that corner. Right there. Okay. I will meet you back around. Okay. So we've come around with the extra row. I'm definitely going to have to block this. I have a tendency to crochet very tightly, so it's part of the reason why this looks the way it does. So let's go into the top of that stitch. Okay, and rather than cutting it, let's do 3 chains, 1, 2, 3. Let's do a double crochet down into that space that we created with that 1 chain space. Okay, and let's turn our work. Okay, and we'll do 2 more double crochets down into this gap right here. And that's all we're going to be doing. We're just going to be doing 3 clusters of 3 double crochets into the gap between. And we're just going to make this side smaller and smaller. Okay, last is a double crochet down into that chain 1 space on the corner. Okay. Do 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, and then double crochet into the space here. And then do 2 more double crochets. Just kind of weigh it down at the back there. And just doing 3 double crochets. And each space. Double crochet down here. Right there. Just into the space. Okay. See that it's making it smaller and smaller. 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, double crochet into this space, and 2 more double crochets to finish that cluster. Double crochet down into that space on the edge, turn your work, 3 chains, so I'm playing some yarn chicken here. I may have turn your work, 3 chains, double crochets right in the center. It very quickly narrows down when you decrease from both sides. Double crochet, turn your work, 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, a double crochet down in this space, and then you can just do chain so that you can tie it like that. But I'm actually going to cut it here, try to save some of this yarn. I might be able to use a different color for the strings. But then you do the same thing on this side, you do it on this side. Back and forth. Let's see if we've got enough. Go into that space. There it is, the chain space. Do a slip knot. Do a slip stitch. And then, there we go. And remember how we started here? We just went straight up into reducing the size. So that was 3 chains. Now we skip over to this spot here. Let's leave that out of the way. And we do our cluster. And we reduce it on both sides. So let's see if I can win yarn chicken. I'll meet you back. Okay, so I don't know if you have looked through my catalog, but I made a video on how I turn these tea boxes inside out and put labels on them to neaten up my craft storage. So now I need to find a turquoise button that fits through this end loop. Use that one maybe. But I have to make this hole smaller at the end. Alright, so let's put those aside. Let's get my... So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pick this out. And I'm going to make it smaller. I'm using the back of the needle, the eye That way I don't split the yarn. Okay. Alright. Chain stitches. 1, 2. Let's loop it down here. Stitch that through. Tighten it all up. And pull it through. Okay, that's good enough. Let's hide this end. Okay. But it might work. So you could always give it a try. I'm going to sew the button on this end. Okay. My head has really made that form. So yeah, this is really cool. I could wear it with the point in the top too, with the button up at the top. Either way. But yeah, this is a really good hairband. I hope you enjoyed this, and you'll give it a try. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Crochet your way today, because it's the only time we have. Take care, and I'll see you next time.